Arise from slumber. The Royal Awakening is a prophetic era in which the descendants of Judah, the royal tribe of Israel, awaken from spiritual and mental slumber, reclaim their heritage, and witness the reversal of the curses that have plagued them for generations. This period marks the end of exile, oppression, and deception as God's chosen people, especially the lineage of David and the house of Judah, rise to their divine purpose. Throughout history, the tribe of Judah has carried the scepter of kingship, but they have also endured severe persecution, displacement, and identity theft. However, prophecy declares that in the last days, Judah will awaken, the curses will be lifted, and they will be restored as leaders and priests in God's kingdom. The Royal Awakening is a divine movement dedicated to teaching, reawakening, and reviving the children of Israel, specifically the sold and scattered tribe of Judah, by restoring the truths that have been lost, mistaught, and hidden for over 400 years. Our mission is to gather, educate, and empower Judah and the broader house of Israel, preparing them for their prophetic restoration in these last days. We as a people have been mistaught so much over an accumulation of years, centuries even, and these misteachings have led to an abundance of confusion, misunderstanding, and a lack of knowledge to the point where we, Judah specifically, do not know who we are, where we come from, and what God made rightfully and inherently ours. We've heard before that we are living in the time of revelation, and we've been taught to believe or translate that as we are living in the time spoken about in the book of Revelations in the Bible. The time of revelation is the time of revealing, God's revealing and revelation on everything from beginning to end, everything he's seen, everything he's known, and the reason why everything was how it was, is how it is, and how things will soon be. The word apocalypse originates from the Greek apokalypsos, meaning an uncovering or a revelation. Far from signifying utter destruction, it refers to a divine disclosure, a revealing of hidden truths. In the biblical sense, the apocalypse is not merely an event of doom, but a moment of great unveiling, where the lies of this present world are exposed and the divine order of God is made manifest. If you believe in God and believe that he is real and believe that he is the Alpha, Omega, beginning, and the end, then you know that God has a story to tell that is at least 6,000 years long and still in the making. That's a lot. His story is full of forbidden sexual desires, betrayal, bastard babies, giants, wars, stolen kingdoms, identity thefts, plots, scams, schemes, stolen inheritances, slavery, murder, and a beef so sacred and deep that it goes all the way back to let there be light. The ending of his story contains the revelation of lies and a secret so hidden and big that once revealed, it would upset and destroy the systems, governments, principalities, powers, religious institutions, and the rulers of darkness of this world. It would change the world map and its hierarchies, bringing forth the apocalypse, a huge war, the gathering of God's scattered children, and the returning dominion of his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. Some of the truths being revealed and the lies being exposed as his story unfolds will be hard to believe, accept, or understand, especially without context. This is partially but mainly due to the kingdom of darkness, their wicked children, and oppressive systems hiding, destroying, changing, mistranslating, misinterpreting, repurposing, perverting, and then redistributing and indoctrinating God's written, inspired words, his children, and their inheritance. The enemy has done such a thorough job in implementing their plan that many of you have been lost to them. Their lies have become truth to you, with a belief so strong that you will fight for them. But God, who knows the truth, even when they tell you a lie, still exists, and there is still a remnant of his seed who have not believed in the lies of the kingdom of darkness and know that what's done in the dark will come to the light. This story is for that seed. As we go further into his story, there will be times where extra biblical texts, books, and information are referenced and used. These include books such as Enoch, Jubilees, Jasher, and the books of the Maccabees. Books that at one point in time were either in the Bible or accessible to the people of the Bible. Due to the kingdom of darkness and its plot to keep things hidden and to deceive God's children, books and information such as these have been removed, suppressed, hidden, burned, burned, locked away, declared heretical, and would have people burned, tortured, or killed for possessing them or spreading the knowledge or information contained in them. Reading these books and other truthful and accurate historical accounts will not hurt, harm, or curse God's children. In fact, they contain enhanced knowledge, background, and promises to his children. They explain his plan and purpose more, and not only exposes darkness and its kingdom, but also the fate of the children of and the kingdom of darkness. This is why these books were kept from you. There will also be times where other non-biblical historical texts, documents, or accounts are used and referenced. And again, if you believe that God is the beginning and the end, then you know there is more to the story to be told than hanging one of his children on a cross or tree over 2,000 years ago. These were actual people with stories to tell, from Adam to Christ till today. Biblical texts and accounts were inspired and written from the perspective of these people, and at points in history, these people were in captivity or exile, at which time they were unable to read, write, or contribute to their own historical records and accounts. And also be reminded that their books and historical records were burned, suppressed, hidden, and declared heretical. The use of other non-biblical texts and historical accounts help fill in the gaps throughout history where this has occurred. And so we start with the beginning. Now, the Royal Awakening presents History, the Apocalypse, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Here we have two entities identified: darkness upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moving upon the face of the waters. Darkness existed with God in the beginning. Darkness is an entity and just as real as God is. Genesis 1:3, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. We all know that where there is light, darkness does not exist, and that if you want to get rid of darkness, you turn on the lights. Light is the enemy of darkness. When God said, "Let there be light," darkness received this as an attack on its existence. Everything within that light and everything created within that light became the enemy of darkness simply because it could not exist in that light and because of God's creation. God knew this when subsequently, Genesis 1:4, God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from darkness. God not only separates the light from darkness, but notice how he calls the light good. Does not denote the same for darkness, and then separates it, because it was not good and did not or would not have good intentions for his creation. Why? Because through this creation and the light, darkness is being eradicated. Imagine being darkness and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, light turns on, immediately destroying whatever parts of you that it touches. You only now exist in the shadows and in the far nethers where light does not reach. After recognizing what it is destroying you and eradicating your existence, you're going to begin to almost immediately trying to destroy off or snuff out the light, or whatever was created, so that you can continue to exist as you were before the lights turned on. Therefore, darkness began establishing its kingdom set to destroy God's creation and the light. In order to recognize and identify darkness as an entity and its established kingdom, some of its characteristics, traits, all that help identify darkness. One thing we know about darkness is it loves to hide things and keep things hidden and in secret. Darkness likes for things to be blinded and not be able to see. Darkness creeps in through cracks and shadows. Darkness cannot stand light or anything created in it and seeks to destroy it by any and all means possible. Keep these traits of darkness in mind throughout this whole series in order to help identify darkness and its kingdom. Have you ever heard of dark magic? That would derive from the kingdom of darkness. The dark arts, consorting with the dark lord, the prince of darkness. What about the occult or shadow governments? These are all means of which darkness has established its kingdom and works within and moves through God's creation. Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. The same way God moves and communicates in spirit with his kingdom, darkness communes with those who are established in its kingdom. When they communicate, develop plans, implement them, it is all done with the goal of keeping things and people in the dark, keeping them blind, keeping things hidden, and ultimately to destroy God's creation. Job 5:12-14. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. They meet with darkness in the daytime, and grope in the noonday as in night. Proverbs 4:19. The way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble. Darkness first began establishing its kingdom through the angels of God, causing 1/3 of them to rebel and be cast out of heaven and into the earth. Jude 6:1. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. These angels were led by the prince of the kingdom of darkness, aka the prince of darkness, and a bunch of other aliases, i.e. Satan, Semyaza, Samael, Revelation 12:9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Chapter 55 of the book of Adam and Eve, also called The Conflict of Adam and Eve with Satan, provides a little more background on this.
We will make known to you what came over us through him before his fall from heaven. He gathered together his hosts and deceived them, promising to give them a great kingdom, divine nature, and other promises he made them. His hosts believed that his word was true, so they yielded to him and renounced the glory of God. He then sent for us, according to the orders in which we were, to come under his command and to accept his vain promise. But we would not, and we did not take his advice. Then after he had fought with God and had dealt forwardly with him, he gathered together his hosts and made war with us. And if it had not been for God's strength that was with us, we could not have prevailed against him to hurl him from heaven. But when he fell from among us, there was great joy in heaven because of his going down from us. For if he had remained in heaven, nothing, not even one angel, would have remained in it. But God, in his mercy, drove him from among us to this dark earth, for he had become darkness itself and a worker of unrighteousness.
Chapters 13-15 of the life of Adam and Eve, also called the Apocalypse of Moses, also provides more background and insight on the fall of these angels.
13. The devil replied, Adam, what dost thou tell me? It is for thy sake that I've been hurled from that place. When thou wast formed, I was hurled out of the presence of God and banished from the company of the angels. When God blew into thee the breath of life, and thy face and likeness was made in the image of God, Michael also brought thee, and made us worship thee in the sight of God. And God the Lord spake, Here is Adam. I have made thee in our image and likeness. 14. And Michael went out and called all the angels, saying, Worship the image of God, as the Lord God hath commanded. And Michael himself worshipped first. Then he called me and said, Worship the image of God the Lord. And I answered, I have no need to worship Adam. And since Michael kept urging me to worship, I said to him, Why dost thou urge me? I will not worship an inferior and younger being than I. I am his senior in the creation. Before he was made, I was already made. It is his duty to worship me. 15. When the angels who were under me heard this, they refused to worship him. And Michael saith, Worship the image of God. But if thou wilt not worship him, the Lord God will be wroth with thee. And I said, If he be wroth with me, I will set my seat above the stars of heaven, and I will be like the highest. 16. And God the Lord was wroth with me, and banished me and my angels from our glory. And on thy account were we expelled from our abodes into this world, and hurled on the earth.
We all know that God continued establishing his creation and kingdom, filling it with plants, trees, animals, man, and more, and created in light. On the sixth day, after letting there be light, God created Adam, also known as man. Adam and his children, being created in light, also became known as the children of light. 1 Thessalonians 5:5. Ye are the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. At that time, darkness began conspiring with the fallen angels to make their own children. Genesis 6:4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. These children were made to steal everything made for God's children from God's children, kill his children, and destroy his creation. John 10:10, for the thief cometh not, but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. This is important to know and should be kept in mind when following and identifying the lineages of the children of darkness and the lines, lineages, and people of the kingdom of darkness, and separating them from the lineage of the children of God, the sons of man, and the kingdom of light. The book of Noah, contained in chapters 6 through 11 of the book of Enoch, provides more background and clarity on Genesis 6:4 when it says, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. It expounds more on the giants, the children born unto them, and some of their deeds done on the earth. Here is a fragment from the book of Noah.
A fragment from the book of Noah. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Simjaza was their leader, and said unto them, I fear you will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then sware they all together, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders: Simeazaz, their leader, Arakiba, Ramael, Kokabeel, Tamiel, Ramiel, Danel, Ezekiel, Barakihal, Asael, Almaros, Batarel, Ananel, Zakiel, Samsapeel, Satarel, Turel, Jomjael, Sarael. These are the chiefs of tens. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one. And they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them, and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds, and beasts, and reptiles, and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and to drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. And Azazel taught men to make swords, and knives, and shields, and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth, and the art of working them, and bracelets, and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. Simjaza taught enchantments and root cuttings, Armoros the resolving of enchantments, Barakihal taught astrology, Kokabel, the constellations, Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds, Arakiel, the signs of the earth, Shamseel, the signs of the sun, and Sariel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven.
The chapter titled The Fall of the Angels and Their Punishment, contained in the Book of Jubilees, provides more insight and background on this matter as well.
The fall of the angels and their punishment. The deluge foretold. And it came to pass, when the children of men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the angels of God saw them on a certain year of this jubilee, that they were beautiful to look upon. And they took themselves wives of all whom they chose, and they bare unto them sons, and they were giants. And lawlessness increased on the earth, and all flesh corrupted its way, alike men and cattle and beasts and birds, and everything that walketh on the earth. All of them corrupted their ways and their orders, and they began to devour each other. And lawlessness increased on the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of all men was thus evil continually.
Please don't think for even one moment of a moment that God did not see, know, or respond to the dastardly things done and committed on earth through this establishment. Here is another excerpt from the book of Enoch.
And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, Fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach hither and hear my voice. And go, say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee to intercede for them, you should intercede for men, and not men for you. Wherefore have you left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and had lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and done like the children of earth, and begotten giants as your sons? And though you are holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh. And, as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, as those also do who die and perish, therefore have I given them wives also, that they might impregnate them and beget children by them, that thus nothing might be wanting to them on earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life, and immortal for all generations of the world, and therefore I have not appointed wives for you. As for the spiritual ones of heaven, in heaven is their dwelling. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men, and against the women, because they have proceeded from them. From the days of the slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, from the souls of whose flesh the spirits, having gone forth, shall destroy without incurring judgment. Thus shall they destroy until the day of the consummation, the great judgment in which the age shall be consummated, over the watchers and the godless, yea, shall be wholly consummated. And now as to the watchers who have sent thee to intercede for them, who had been aforetime in heaven, say to them, You have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones. And these, in your hardness of hearts, you have made known to the women. And through these mysteries, women and men work much evil on earth. Say to them, therefore, You have no peace.
We're starting to jump ahead of ourselves a little bit, so let's get back on track. Now that we've established the reality of darkness from the beginning, its kingdom, its purpose, and the fact that they birthed children created to destroy God's creation and his children, let's continue with his story and into the garden. But before we do, here is another excerpt from the book of Adam and Eve.
Then Satan said to Adam, "Do you think that when I have promised one something, that I would actually deliver it to him or fulfill my word? Of course not. For I myself have never even thought of obtaining what I promised. Therefore I fell, and I made you fall by that for which I myself fell. And with you also, whoever accepts my counsel falls thereby. But now, O Adam, because you fell, you are under my rule, and I am king over you, because you have obeyed me, and have transgressed against your God. Neither will there be any deliverance from my hands until the day promised you by your God." Again he said, "Because we do not know the day agreed on with you by your God, nor the hour in which you shall be delivered, for that reason we will multiply war and murder on you and your descendants after you. This is our will and our good pleasure, that we may not leave one of the sons of men to inherit our orders in heaven."